Today we are going to try out FOMO. FOMO. I'm gonna call it FOMO. Just really quickly, one word. I was sent this bucket for free. They just wanted me to check it out and see how it goes, and I'm gonna do exactly that. They just wanted me to play around with it and see what I thought and maybe give them my thoughts on it. They in no way asked me to do a review or a video or promotion on any of my social media, but I decided to do it anyway. I will say, this jar is really hard to open. Probably a good thing so the clay doesn't dry out, but I really struggle. Oh, Jesus! I hit my face and oh, Lord. Oh, I should explain. This is air drying foam. So it is very light, very docile. It has already kind of been suction formed to the bag. So, ooh, okay, very moist. Alright, so another big thing that FOMO claims it does well is molding. So I have a few different molds and things I'm gonna mold. First is a mold I bought off of Amazon. It's a silicone mold and it's rather deep. It's about a 1/2 inch deep. The other one is another silicone mold. This one I made and it's only about 1/8 inch deep and it has some ribbing details in here. So I want to see how well the FOMO is going to pick that up. Then I have 3 items to mold essentially. I'm gonna have a flower. It has a little bit of detailing, really thin lines in there. Then this gummy bear, which has larger areas, and so I feel like I'm gonna compare the two of small detail versus a little bit bigger detail. Then I have this D cabochon. I want to compare this to the other two because it has texture, and I want to see how the FOMO picks that up versus something that is smooth. So let's go ahead and get started on this stuff. I'm gonna rip off a piece of FOMO, and you can see when you first rip it off, it has lots of air bubbles in it, so before I put it in any of the mold, I am going to work it and try to get all of those air bubbles out. So I can hear kind of a popping sound as I'm kneading it, and as soon as I stop hearing pops, I'm going to say that all the air bubbles are out. Yep, and pop that baby in there. That came out rather nice. So I'm gonna let this one dry just like that. We'll see. Oh, it has that detail. Very nice. All right. Oh, that came out very nice. Picked up a lot of the detail very nicely. This one has some weird indents in there. It's not coming out. It's attached to that middle piece and not releasing. Alright, so that was not a good thing to mold. Alright, the middle section is pressed pretty flat and flush with the edge. I'm going to let that dry in there. Alright, so we're back. It's pretty much been 24 hours. I did this last night, just now the evening of the next day. They seem dry. I can't really tell with bigger pieces like this unless I cut into it. Still kind of squishy. I don't know, kind of squishy. It feels all the same. This feels a little denser, but I mean it's a bigger consistency, so clearly. Definitely not fragile, which is awesome. And I feel like it's going back to the shape it dried in, even as I bend it and mess with it. It's going back to the same curve. That is great. So if you're sculpting something freehand, it'd have to be very simple shapes like balls and spikes and squares. any sort of detail you want to put into the foam doesn't really look that great in my opinion. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the molds I made with the foam and put more foam in it and see if it can mold with itself. Oh, already a mistake. It's sticking to itself. All right. No, it cannot. Yeah, you can still attach new wet foam to something that has dried, and it actually sticks very, very well. All right, good to know. All right, moving on. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of Super Sculpty. So this is oven baked clay, and just push it into the mold and see how well that takes. Wow, the Super Sculpty is really soft. Oh, but it's not sticking to the foam. Oh, that was pretty good. It kept that detail. All right. So you can definitely use the foam molds to push in other clay products. That took really nicely. Awesome. All right, going to mix up the tiniest little batch of resin. I'm not using any release agent for the molds because honestly, it's foam. Never molded with a foam mold. I wouldn't know what kind of release it would take. But I'm gonna go ahead and pour some resin in these and see how it goes. I'm going to try sanding it, see how well it sands. Let's rip most of it off. Okay. It is sanding. You can see the sanding marks on it. And not much residue coming off. But it is sanding. When I sand the edges, it just kind of gets fuzzy. It definitely doesn't sand super well. Oh, I mean, that's much better. Much better just cutting off any excess I have here. Then sanding it down to give it a nice finished look. But sanding isn't super great. You kind of still get that fuzzy edge and not a nice, clean, hard edge. But it does sand, so that is something. Lastly, let's go ahead and try out some glues and see how well some glue holds the foam together. Keep in mind, I am going to be testing the gluing out on unpainted foam. Might act a little bit different depending on the paint. First one, we're going to be using contact cement. So I'm going to put a little bit on the back side of this piece and the front side of this piece. Let that dry. The next two pieces I'm going to glue just with some super glue. And I'm going to go ahead and glue the other piece on top. I was also going to try some 1-minute epoxy, but you know what? I've really never had anything that epoxy can't glue together. But maybe we'll try it out. There's not very much left in this tube. Whoa, that was a lot. Holy cow. There we have some hot glue. Hot glue, super glue, contact cement, 1-minute epoxy. 1-minute epoxy. I'm definitely stretching the foam. That 1-minute epoxy is holding. Contact cement. Whoa, all right. I'm gonna push that back together. Contact cement did not hold us very well. All right, contact cement no go. Super glue! That did not feel dry. To be honest, that felt wet. Super glue is gonna need longer to dry. Hot glue. pretty solid. I can feel it slipping though. Yeah, all right. Hot glue peeled right off of it. Hot glue no go. Oh, interesting. Wow, only the 2 super glues. My go-to glues, which are usually contact cement and hot glue, are not holding. Okay, need to let the super glue dry. That could take minutes to an hour, honestly. I do not use a fast setting super glue, so that is gonna have to sit there, and we will come back to the glue finesse. I'm gonna actually retry the hot glue because I'm not happy about it not holding. Like, I don't want to have to epoxy this foam together. I want to be able to just hot glue it. So I'm gonna score it. Remember, this is dried. So I'm scoring it after it has dried, but I guess you can score it before it dries. And then we're gonna glue it together over the score marks and see if that holds it together better. All right. Give that a good push. It's definitely got hot glue leaking out the edges. Let's see the pull test with the scored foam. Oh, better, better. I'm pulling the foam and it's not pulling apart the hot glue. Oh, even twisting it, much better. It is starting to release, but it has definitely grabbed within the foam. I am ripping the foam before the hot glue is ripping off. Awesome. And so this is where we have landed on the second day. I'm actually going to be back tomorrow to further the testing. I'm going to hope this side dries out because I'm leaving it up so it can get access to the air. My super glue will definitely be dry by tomorrow. We'll see how that holds up. And I want to leave the paint to dry overnight so it really cures, and then flex it again and see if it cracks or not. And by tomorrow my resin will be cured and I'll be able to pop those out, or try and pop them out and see how that goes. I'll check back in with you tomorrow. Alright, back to our test sheet. This seems fully dry today. I'm going to go ahead and pop out this caboodin. Pop out, pop out. Whoa! That actually came out really nice. This is definitely stretchy, but the foam is stretchy. But you know what? That looks really, really good. This feels more dry now. It is rather thick. Might have taken 2 days to fully cure. Spike, still very flexible. Still goes back to retain its same shape, which is nice. Another mold start. All right, let's pop these resin pieces out, or attempt to pop these resin pieces out. Oh, it's releasing from the foam. Oh, kind of. No. All right. No, it is not. It is not. All right, so I am able to scrape the foam away from the resin. It hasn't completely bonded to it, but I definitely will not be able to use this mold again, clearly. But for a one-time run and a quick fix, you might be able to use this foam for a quick mold. Kind of. Yep. Still released. Still got some foam around the edges, but again, the mold is unreusable again. But you know what? That did make a finished resin piece, so nice. Lastly, let's recheck super glue. The super glue has set. Yep, it's holding. Super glue is holding. And I redid the contact cement because I feel like contact cement should work. There's no reason why it shouldn't work on this foam. So I'm giving it another go. I did a thinner application of the contact cement and I let it dry a little bit longer. And then I'm gonna let that dry together a little bit longer and see how it holds. Still sliding off. Still able to peel that off. All right, contact cement is a no-go. So let's review, shall we? Holds its shape very well, is flexible. I can squish it, pinch it, and it does go back to the shape that it was dried in. Free molding does okay. You can make basic shapes very easily. I made a cylinder, made a spike, but anything with a lot of detail you can't really carve in. It doesn't take that very well. But when pushed into a mold, it does retain detail very well. You can also use the foam to make your own mold. These two pieces were the resin, which it did come out with a good positive piece, but it destroys the mold, so it is a one-time use. This was pushed into a mold, came out really nicely. So you are able to push in oven bake clay, and it took a really nice positive from the mold. Here with this, I tried to push in the same clay into the mold, and it stuck to itself even though it was dry. So you cannot use the same foam to make a positive from this negative of a mold you made. Lastly, all of our glue and paint tests. 1 minute epoxy, really nice bond. Contact cement was a no-go, it peeled right off. Super glue did hold but took a long time to dry. Normal hot glue peeled off of the foam, it did not work. But when I scored the foam with an X-Acto knife, the hot glue held. Paint-wise, this was primer with spray paint and then acrylic. These were non-primered spray paint and acrylic. The acrylic, I see no difference. Still flexible. It's a matte finish, which all acrylics are. Less flexible, but that is because of the wood glue. It is definitely less flexible than pure acrylic. The finish is the same. I honestly don't see a difference. If you're going to use acrylic paint, no need to prime the foam. The slight difference comes with the spray paint. Unprimed, the spray paint is very flexible. This was one thin layer, so it's not going to crack. But the spray paint did seep into the foam a little bit, and it came off with a very thin and matte coat. But over a wood glue primer, the spray paint did retain its shiny finish. Still, flexibility is maintained. So, it's up to you if you choose to prime the pieces of foam or not. To be honest, it's actually not really necessary. You could skip priming. Lastly, when we tried to sand the piece, it sanded okay, but it did leave fuzzy edges on big pieces you need to sand off. So it is sandable. All right, so that was my evaluation and review of FOMO. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more cosplay content. But that's it for this review, and I will see you next time. Bye!